This is the Seahawkers podcast, live and uncatfished. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy Clinton Bonner, and should have Mr. Phil coming in here shortly too. It's a schedule release watch party or announcement party. What are we watching?
Yeah, we're watching for the reactions, Brandan. We're watching for the moments where we go, ooh, that's a game I think I can go to. Or of course, if we can't get to one, just the wow, that string is going to be tough, and we'll get into all those things right there. But I love the schedule release. I mean, I'm an NHL fan, and they can't do nothing right when it comes to marketing. They got the best generational player, and they botched the lottery. Terrible broadcast. Then there's the NFL. Each thing meticulously laid out and planned and beautifully marketed. And I'm sopping it up with a biscuit, dude. And speaking of biscuits, there's Mr. Phil. He's always flaky and buttery, and I mean those things in good ways, Mr. Phil. Flaky, buttery, Mr. Phil. How are you?
Thanks for the flaky introduction. I can't seem to get my good microphone to work, so I guess I am a little bit flaky.
You're fine. You're fine.
Can you hear me?
People will be distracted by the elegance of this schedule that we're going to be posting here shortly too, so we can read over it. And we got Nick Roman in the chat. We've got Aaron F, linebacker 54. We got Jason Turner, Randy Horner, and Gambling Goat. Jacob Hawes also. Did I mention him? Lots of folks here joining us for this live Seahawks schedule release. And yeah, we hear you just fine, Phil.
You can? Okay. Well, that's good.
And you look good. Your hair's all done there, Mr. Phil. You're looking sharp.
Well, you gave me extra time, so why not pop in the old shower, right? And then I got the original Earl Thomas rookie jersey going on here from the worst uniforms probably in my lifetime. But I'm hoping and I'm expecting the throwbacks will be the cool ones.
Yes.
From grade school, not these terrible ones from college years.
Yeah, it's got to be. We want that beautiful royal blue, that Dave Craig, yes. Kurt Warner,
Jim Zorn,
of course, Zorn, Largent. We want that blue. Cortez Kennedy, Joey Galloway. That's
we've got time to go over and rank best and worst uniforms throughout the offseason. Gentlemen, we have a schedule to talk about. It's schedule release day. We got Ryan 911 in the chat saying these leaks all day are so ridiculous. Just put the schedule out already. But look, Ryan, if they didn't do the leaks, then we couldn't piece together our own schedule like piecemeal throughout the day, like many of us do, just through a spreadsheet or going to a Reddit forum to try and find out where all the leaks are being compiled. But hey, it's time. We've got everything here, and here it is, kicking the season off. Week 1 at home against the stupid Los Angeles Rams.
That's a win.
He's chalking it up early. Yes.
Check.
I think it's a thank you to the NFL. Like, that's a team, they're going to be not as good as they were, and a team that could get significantly better as the year goes on. They find a few players, they kind of get their groove back. Getting them week 1 when they're in this kind of disheveled period is a bit of a gift, right? So that's amazing. Got to have that game. Got to have that win. You said that's at home. Is that right, Brandan?
That's at home. Yeah. The games that are highlighted in white are the home games.
Beautiful.
And then the road games are the opposite, obviously.
That's a lovely. What do you think, Brandan, about that lovely start? Does it make you a little bit like, oh, it's a little too easy, or you're like, nah, you like it?
I like starting off against the Rams. Now, I would have preferred, just as I look over the entire schedule, you want to look and see where those San Francisco games are. You want to see where the bye week is. You want to see where all those divisional opponents are. I just, with the way that the 49ers quarterback situation is, I would have preferred to have them up front in the schedule. But I kind of like the idea of getting a fun start against the Rams too. Now, I know you guys say it's easy. It's not like things have gone exactly easy against the
win.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just have a lot of people chalking up 1-0, which, I mean, I see a 17-0 schedule. I don't know about the rest of you. Some of you are kind of pessimistic, and Jacob Haas saying we have a legit shot of going 4-0 by our bye week. Speaking of which, our bye is way too soon.
The start and the end I see as a win. So we just got to worry about the other 15.
Yeah, the middle's chunky, and I see Adam chiming in over here too. He says, if you see that one, Brandon, he says the Rams will be at their healthiest week 1. That's true.
Kind of.
Most likely true. You never know, but most likely true. And Adam, that's true, but they might not be at their most effective by week 1 if they've got a slew of new players and they're really trying to figure things out with what is a pretty new regime. Yeah, they've got Cup. Yeah, they've got Donald. Stafford should be back.
Got their old McVay's coming back. I don't know if there's anything really new other than Stafford coming back from injury, which.
I think they don't seem to be on the upside of their of that team at this point, right? They kind of sold their soul. Give them credit. They won the chip. Whatever. Yeah. I'm all good with that.
And they're going to be at their healthiest week 1. Adam's absolutely correct about that.
Churning. They're not going to be.
And to Adam's point, actually, you don't know the health of any of these guys.
Right.
We can go through and chalk up wins and losses throughout the season, but Matthew Stafford could blow out his elbow in preseason week 2. And then we're facing that dude that they drafted from Georgia, right?
Oh, Stetson Bennett.
The guy that was only touched 8 times in the whole season last year. Like actually touched 8 times when he dropped back last year.
They took some flack for him. And I'm like, well, that guy could play quarterback a bit at least. I don't know. It didn't seem like a terrible pick to me. It wasn't like getting a punter in the 3rd round or a kicker in the 3rd round. So
yeah, that would have been the worst possible choice you could have done. I can't imagine what kind of horrible franchise would take a kicker in the 3rd round when they barely have any draft picks at the top of the draft. Anyway.
Yeah. Seems
Christopher also on top of one of the things that we like to look for when the schedule comes out, how many 10 o'clock a.m. games, and considering just how many teams that we play from the East Coast, 4 games seems like a pretty healthy number. I would have liked more because the Seahawks and 10 a.m. games, that it's not like the Holmgren era Seahawks that seem to struggle with those 10 a.m. games. Pete Carroll has figured it out, and they actually perform really well in those road 10 a.m. starts. So bring on the 10 a.m. games now.
Yeah, I mean, that Ravens game is going to be tough if it's at 10 o'clock or 12 midnight.
Well, they're good, right? I mean, they should be at least a pretty good team. It's not an easy schedule. This is in ways, it's a harder schedule than last year, I think.
In terms of strength of schedule, it's top 15, right? I believe, okay. Maybe top 10. Well, and that just, it's part of it is being in the division with the 49ers. Part of it is playing the divisions that we are with the East, having to play the Eagles, also having to play the AFC North. I know we have Bengals on the schedule after the bye week. One of the things I do like about how some of the extended buys play out, and it's probably something I'll be talking about with Bloomy coming up because he likes to really dig into that schedule analysis. We have the Bengals after the bye week, and so extra rest before a really solid team in the Bengals. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Cowboys. So an interesting stretch here is the Niners on Thanksgiving. That's a home game, so our team doesn't have to go anywhere on Thanksgiving. That's nice. We get to watch Seahawks football in the evening on Thanksgiving. That's also nice.
Love it.
Very nice.
And then it's back-to-back Thursday night games, which normally you dread those Thursdays, but it's a week difference, so that part of it doesn't make too much difference. And then that means you get that extra rest time then before going and facing the Niners on the road. I don't like facing the Niners so quickly after we face them at home, but there it is right in the schedule, and we have some extra time then to get ready for the Niners going into December.
Well, it's going to be pretty cool because we're going to beat them twice in the math. There's like 17 days or something like that. So that's going to be a very special start to our holiday season when we beat the Niners twice in 17 days. I saw Bobby Wagner on when the Thanksgiving game leaked, which that's awesome, by the way, right? Like it's got to be one of the ones where we highlight that, save it, put it on the fridge. Thanksgiving night, the primetime game. We all remember Sherman carrying the turkey off, on the platter, Russ and him, chomping it up. Was it Susie Colbert? I forget who.
We don't want to reverse though, because this is at home, so we don't want to see the reverse.
That's right. Correct. We just want to keep on winning. But that one's.
I don't even think that there are any 49ers from that team still on that team to remember that in terms of a revenge game, which is interesting. Whereas if we're looking at revenge games on the schedule, week 2, Lions. Lions apparently hold some kind of grudge against the Seahawks for booting them out of the playoffs last year when we got the win. They beat the Packers, but because of our victory, the Lions missed the playoffs.
What about our awesome shared logo, though? Shouldn't they be pleased with our awesome shared logo?
They should.
The old C. Griffin thing that came out, that was awesome. I do. So the Lions get a mini bye, which is interesting, right? Because they start week 1 on Thursday Night Football. But I'll go with but they got to play the Chiefs. So they got to start with the Chiefs. So not saying the Lions can't win that game. Chiefs will be favorite. All likelihood, Lions are rolling in 0-1. We're going there 0-1.
That lion tail between their legs.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
But that's their first home game as well. So yeah, they're starting off 0-1, and then they're going to be starting things off at home and have the grudge of last season. We got our Ryan 911, our live executive producer, saying, looking forward to hearing Hawk Van Dyke tell us all how badly we're getting cheated with this schedule.
Yeah, he'll do the math. He'll do, Bloomy will do
Lions
the numbers.
part will be part of it because they do have the extra rest.
They have
and
right out of the gate.
The home game.
Right out of the gate, they're going to be, that much more healthier. Three more days healthy. I do have, I have a couple of bones to pick with this schedule in general. And the first one, you boys probably know where I'm going. When the opponents came out and we saw the road games, I was super, super, super gung ho to get my butt down to Nashville. I live in Connecticut. Getting to Nashville, not that hard. And I probably said it 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times. I'm like, please just don't let it be a holiday game. Like, don't let it be a stupid date. I love Christmas Eve. Don't let it be a holiday game. Lo and behold, blammo at Tennessee, Christmas Eve. Fine. I'll be home. I'll enjoy it. That's all great. I love Christmas. Of all the places to travel, to me, it was by far the coolest city that we could have went to together as a flock this year. So that's my first bone to pick. But do you guys see any road games that are kind of kind of making you go, that could be one?
In terms of road games, the New York one is intriguing just because it is early October. That's pretty good weather for that time. Detroit, don't really care about visiting Detroit. Cincinnati. Okay. Just because October is the best time for football. And the bummer of it is that, 2 home games right at the end of October, but they're also 2 of the teams that I would really care to see the least.
The wide receiver bowl, though, in Cincinnati, if you're going to go somewhere, that might be a really fun one to experience.
Yeah, that should be a shootout. You're right, Mr.
DK Metcalf versus Jamar Chase.
Oh my gosh, round 2. Where's Adam? Where's Adam?
The top 2 teams with the wide receivers, with the top 3 wide receivers, right?
That's right.
Weren't you guys just talking about that like a couple nights ago? These are 1 and 2 for the teams.
And Adam, the homer, picked DK Metcalf as the best receiver in the league. I mean, come on. What a homer pick, Adam.
Adam said, call me a homer. I can't remember what he said. We did a show today and he's like, I'm fine with being called a homer, but there was reasonable. He felt like he had a reasonable argument. I can't say
I did have a reasonable argument. I couldn't even argue with it. And DK Metcalf is my favorite receiver in the NFL. So, behind Tyler Lockett, my second favorite receiver in the NFL. Road games, I think, actually Thursday night in Dallas. That one's kind of jumping out at me a little bit. Takeover in Dallas during the middle of the week.
That could be fun for a couple of reasons. Like the weekday travel is cool, right? Get down there Wednesday night. That's just different.
I could even do that one maybe.
Oh, nice. So there we go. That would be amazing. And also, even November 30th. Yes, Dallas can get cold, but typically November 30th, maybe a light Parker. You
might have an ice storm. You might have sun.
You could, but typically, you're getting some good weather, because that's, to me, if I'm going to travel and get on a plane, I just don't want to be freezing. I just don't want to be like, crap, I'm freaking cold.
We did the Houston game just a couple of years back, and
I couldn't go. I ended up
the weather was fantastic on December 12th.
There you go. So that's pretty intriguing. I do think that Cincinnati game, because of the fireworks, not because it's July 4th, but the fireworks that will be, is pretty intriguing too. Nice. There's Adam on the screen saying DK will outplay Chase. Book it. He's taking it to the bank, which, by the way, if you folks don't know, we also do a gambling show I think we put it out every Saturday, every Friday or Saturday that we call PNW Prop Stars. So Adam, we're going to hold your feet to the fire on that one and find some props about DK, going man-to-man outplaying Chase, which would be a lot of fun.
Is Adam in on this game like he was on the curse last year? I mean, maybe this is the closest thing to the Hawks playing Broncos to start off the season is Chase versus DK.
Our after the bye week Super Bowl between the Bengals. Yeah, Super Bowl preview.
No, we have a real Super Bowl this year. That last year the Bronco game was our Super Bowl. This year we're got a good shot at the real deal. So I'm not calling any regular season game the Super Bowl this year. We can have the wide receiver bowl. We can have the Adam Bowl, but the only Super Bowl is the one we're trying to get to.
All right.
Is that okay, Brandon?
I mean, it's up to you. That's how you can choose to look at it. I don't know if there's
a season this year.
If you're really going to look at potential Super Bowl matchups, though, that's the only one that I necessarily see on the schedule of an AFC team that the Seahawks play during the season that they could see again. In terms of their strength of schedule, well, the Ravens, I guess, would be the next closest.
Yeah, right? Ravens would be the next closest, but I think a step down from the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Browns are they're okay. They may be okay, but they may be okay.
Steelers
Titans,
no shot.
Yeah. Titans are bad. Steelers are on the come up, but they're not. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're going to be that kind of powerhouse.
Tiny hands.
Yeah, Pickett's okay. I mean, I think Pickett can throw the ball a bit, man. I don't think he's by any means a disgrace. So second year, we'll see how he does. The last part of the schedule, right? Christmas Eve and into the finish. So we got Christmas Eve, we got New Year's Eve, and then watch out, TBD. We don't know yet. As if they're gonna flex Seahawks Cardinals into a primetime slot. Just put that in at 1:00, Pacific on Sunday. That's all that's gonna do. But unless, of course, there's playoff implications. But that's a soft landing.
Boomer Shorty comes back with a vengeance at the end of the season. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. They could go on that 3-game streak at the end of the season and still maybe have a shot at the number 1 pick.
The
Cardinals are going to be bad. I think they even plan on being bad.
Yeah, they put their chips in to get more picks here soon, so they got a little plan to get things going. Yeah, I'm not expecting a lot from them.
So all right. So I think Adam called it out earlier too in the chat, but I think it's there, right? The proverbial elephant in the room is that gauntlet, right? So San Francisco, Dallas, San Francisco Eagles. Mm-hmm. So question, what record do we have to have before getting to that 4-game stretch? Just in general, what do you think we got to be before we get there to really be in playoff contention?
So out of 10 games?
If that's what the math is, yeah, I'm counting.
Well, okay, it's the 4 games to start the season. After the bye week, you have 6 games before you get to Frisco.
Yeah.
But really, I think that gauntlet starts even sooner in November with the Ravens, Commanders, Rams.
But there's a Rams game.
That could be a tough, early part of that just based off of defensive performances, right? Because Ravens tend to have a strong defense. Commanders tend to have strong defenses.
Yeah.
And then you got Aaron Donald with the Rams. So I don't think I discount those 3 games then going into the next 4.
It's not a discount, but I think 7-3 is possible and reasonable to hope for going into that Niner home game that I'm going to try to be at.
I feel real comfy about that too. And we got DCH on the screen saying 8-2, because 8-2 is solid. So if we happen to go big offer, right, we're still 8-6, and then we go 2-1, and then you're in the playoffs at 10-7, and that'll get you in the playoffs. And once you're in, you're in.
Aaron F with the $4.99 super chat. Don't discount that Cardinals game. Says, hey Clinton, that could be the game to seal our 17-0 season and the Cards 0-17 record.
I love it. Take that 72 Dolphins. We'll pop some champagne after that one. Aaron, I'll take that $4.99. I will buy our finest bottle of champagne, and me and you, sir, will have a good time when we go 17-0. That'll be something special.
So 8-2 says DCH going into that stretch. 10-0 sounds better to me.
Yeah.
It does.
So let's play that out. If it is 8-2 or even 7-3, which I think you suggested,
some high hopes. 8-2, 8-2. We're playing some good teams.
Gives you room for a loss to the Bengals and Ravens in terms of road games, and then you have to win out. You have to go perfect the rest of the way. You could talk me into that.
Doable. That'd be a super comfort zone, right? If we were,
8-2 is gonna be they're playing awesome if they're taking this schedule to 8-2.
See, OLM's with me. The Bengals and Ravens would seem like the toughest out of that 10 game stretch.
Yeah, those are probablys, right? I don't think the Ravens. Yes, they reloaded on some of their wide receivers. I don't put them on the same level as the Bengals. I just don't.
No.
Lamar Jackson is kind of the ultimate wild card. He could just take over a game, so you can't discount that. It just makes it difficult to predict. But top tier teams, I think the Bengals are a top tier team. I think the Niners, if with a healthy quarterback, are a top tier team, and the Eagles are a top tier team. So the way I look at it is 17 games, 4 of them versus upper echelon NFL talent. The rest of it, there's some B players, the up and comers like the Lions. Giants are certainly on the right trajectory. Ravens are okay.
Well, if you look at last year's playoff teams, you have the Lions who were super close to making the playoffs. They are one of the favorites to win that division. The Giants were a playoff team last year. You mentioned the Bengals. Yeah. The Commanders were not playoff teams, right? But they were not very good.
They're on the way up. They got a good
guys. Right now they have Sam Howell, right? And so he might be okay.
Yeah,
but
okay. But we'll discount. Yeah, they're lower tier for now until they show us otherwise.
So I can't take them too seriously yet. Right. Maybe by November 12th, it's like, oh, Sam Howell's quite good, but we don't know that.
And the Cowboys could be a playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cowboys are always pretty good, and then they
lose.
There's
probably 6 or 7 legit playoff teams on the schedule.
And there would typically be a surprise one, right? Maybe the Commanders come out of nowhere, the Panthers come out of nowhere. That's typically how it works. And then there's usually one that falls back, right? 1 or 2 they were a playoff contender last year or a playoff team, and
bounces
they had
it out.
Yeah, exactly. So, on the whole, I don't think it's that. It's maybe a slightly harder schedule, but I don't think it's too bad. Our division got worse. The AFC North isn't that good. NFC East is good, and then we got to play. We got to play a couple of interesting spots at the. But
we're going to lose that game to the Browns, though. The Seahawks will lose that one game they have no business losing to some team like the Browns, and so 7-3 might be more realistic. But we got DCH saying let's take a 9-2 schedule into Dallas. The flock meets in Dallas to get the 10th win, and we fly into the playoffs with a 13-4 record. Book it. No reverse jinx forever in this one. Let's go.
I like Dallas. I've got friends in Dallas. I know the city fairly well. I can enjoy Dallas. So if we're flocking there early, and I also like the idea of, I like that midweek trip. That's just not too typical. We're back home, but get home Friday night, get home, maybe even spend the day, get home Saturday. I could talk myself into going to Dallas and hanging with you fellas.
I think that is kind of where we're leaning right now. Now, if we're going to pick a home game to go to, we really have the choice of only 4 games, just because it starts to get a little rainy once you get into November. But you have obviously the kickoff game against the Rams September 10th. That one is jumping out at me. Panthers September 24th, kind of a historic rivalry that we seem to trounce them. It's always fun going to a win. They don't really have, that could be the Bryce Young game if he's starting already there for week 3. Cardinals, if I'm going to pick an obvious win, like the Seahawks should win that game, October 22nd. That's the one that I'm circling. If I were going to put money as a guaranteed win, I'm going to the Cardinals. And then Browns, like I said, that one worries me just because it's a team that you should beat. But sometimes,
the Browns scare. That's like the scary one for me too, because who knows what they're going to be like. Although I can tell you their defense is good. The Browns defense is still pretty legitimate. Kept him in games when Deshaun Watson couldn't complete anything last year after the long hiatus. You would expect he'd be better. Pretty good wide receiving core. Like, it's like one of the more interesting wide receiving cores. Nick Chubb could certainly run the ball. That team, you know what that looks like to me, Brandon? That
slimy guy behind center.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very slimy dude. But that game, Brandon, feels a lot like me saying to you, "Hey, I'm going to be in Michigan. I'll just fly out and catch the Panthers game with you. It'll be fun. We're gonna kick the crap out of the Panthers." And it was rainy, and we got our asses kicked by the Panthers, right? So I'm like, I got this negative October 29th feeling to avoid that one, man. Just not feeling too good to me.
We're gonna beat the Panthers. I mean, are you guys really worried about the Panthers at home?
They kicked the snot out of us last year. Like, it wasn't close. That is probably the ugliest game of the year.
So if we are looking at which teams really could test the interior of this defensive line straight out of the gate, I don't think the Rams so much. The Lions, now they have Jahmyr Gibbs. They're kind of a running team with Jared Goff at the quarterback spot. I would kind of worry about that in terms of teams with good running games. And the Panthers, I feel like they have a whole stable of backs. You're going to have Bryce Young, who's going to be a running quarterback. He's not going to have the game down quite yet. And so that's going to be if we want to see how our team does against the run, it's going to be that week 3 game against the Panthers. Then you have the Giants right after that with Saquon.
We shut down Saquon last year, like 20 carries for 50 yards. Yeah.
Can they do it back-to-back weeks? That one being on Monday Night Football. See, that would be a fun one on the road with it being Monday night, but maybe adds to some travel difficulties.
Easier for Clinton.
Yes. I might end up just taking a train down to that one anyway.
The fun game for me on the schedule, considering the additions to the secondary for the Seahawks, drafting Devin at number 5, that going against that receiver crew in Cincinnati, that's an awfully fun game right there.
Yeah. And the Seahawks, honestly, they can beat any team. I mean, and you talked about the Niners with the quarterback situation. As long as they have a top 100 guy, he's not like a 4-string quarterback, the quarterback doesn't seem to matter with the Niners. And a lot of them, when we play the Niners, it has more to do with how we play. The Niners are going to do Niner things. If we can get our stuff figured out, there's nobody on here I say we can't beat, but obviously the Eagles and the Bengals, at least for me, Eagles, Bengals, Niners, those are the toughest teams that we play. And if we do things right, we could beat any of those teams.
I wish that Eagles game was early within the first 4 home games, because that's the home game that I would want to go to the most. But also December, not my favorite time.
Because you got to drive from Montana. I was like, weather schmether, just dress appropriately. But it's a drive game. Yeah.
So I was texting with Adam, and I know he's in the chat, and I've been trying to get out. I went to Seattle last year, and I met Brandan, met you out there. And I was like, all right, guys, this year I'm going to get out to Montana, and I'll do what you guys do. I'll get in the ridiculously long car ride you guys take that you think is normal, and that's fine. And but I'll do it because it'll be fun, and we'll go. And Adam's like, cool. He's like, the schedule's going to come out. He's like, let's just make sure. He's like, one of the first 2 weeks of October. He's like, that's it. That's the prime time to be. Now we got September 24th. It's close, right? But it's funny. It comes out October 2nd. We're in New York, bye week, then road game, and we're not back to October 22nd. So I think I'd have to ask you and Adam, being the Montana folk here, what's a more beautiful time, September 24th or October 22nd? And is October 22nd cutting it a little close from Montana? Might I get out there and be like, crap, it's snowing? Is that
Larch will be pretty in October, right?
That's part of my thinking too, is that you have the Larch on the drive in October, and maybe I'm trying to think. Does it even?
Hey guys, I'm sorry. What is Larch? What is Larch?
Larch are
like the drummer from Metallica. What
deciduous-looking trees that change color. So, like if you would see a fir or a pine, a cedar more.
You're from the Northeast, Clinton. You have fall colors.
Yeah,
it's our version of fall colors, but they're not. You
just call it something terrible. Got it. Understood. Okay. Larch.
Larch are the trees, the tamaracks. Those are the ones that turn, because we don't have your eastern trees. We
have
some of the most beautiful hikes you could possibly imagine up in Brandan's area in October.
Nice. Okay. So I am interested in making a trip, whether that's late September or that October.
There you go. Adam says, turn your luck around against the Panthers. Okay. Go with the 24th.
That might be the one, fellas. That might be the one where I just got to get out there. DCH saying September. I think September it is. I think that's it, dudes. I think I got to circle the calendar, make sure I didn't book something for work over this thing, and get in the car and take the road trip with you guys from Montana out to Seattle. That sounds like fun.
And 24 is a really good number.
That's true. Beast mode day
before Tyler Lockett's birthday.
Wow. Very nice.
Phil bringing the facts. There we go. All right. So, like I said, I'm seeing a 17-0 schedule here. I don't think we need to go week by week and me predict a win every single week when I clearly see it just looking at it overall. How are you guys? Clinton, how are you feeling about the schedule?
Pretty good. I mean, I think this is a winning schedule for us in the sense that, barring injuries, that's always the biggest thing in the NFL. We're a playoff team this year. And then it's a throttle between, are we competing with the Niners if their quarterback is healthy and really pushing them for the division, or are we still a little step away from that? But this feels like a playoff team. This feels like a playoff schedule. So feeling overall pretty confident about this. Though I do want to ask you guys, of all these games, if we do throwbacks one game, which game do you think that we wear our throwbacks in? Because it's got to be a home game, right? I'd imagine. Right. They wouldn't do that on the road, right? Okay.
They better not.
Right. That would be kind of a waste, right? So which of these games do you think we get to see the throwbacks? Because that
probably the Thanksgiving game. It's a night game, right? It'll be a night game.
Yeah, that's the primetime Thanksgiving game.
And it'll be home.
Yep.
So maybe the Thanksgiving game.
I feel like against a division opponent would make the most sense.
Well, that checks the box there too.
And that checks that box. And yeah, why would
we were playing an AFC West team this year, which we're not, then that would be the way to go. But
that'd be very cool, right?
Plus, you're firing up the crowd. Yeah. If you're gonna wear the throwbacks, you do it on Thanksgiving.
And they are gonna wear the throwbacks. They already said that, right? So there it is. That
everybody agrees with me. How'd that happen?
That night just got that much more special. That's gonna be ridiculous.
The one I'm really hoping to go to.
Nice. I hope you can. That's gonna be ridiculous. I just that just gave me some goosebumps. I'm excited about that.
But looking at it, I think we did identify the tough part of the schedule. How it closes out. I mean, we'll just have to see how things go in terms of injuries, which teams are good and bad. But I do like how it ends with a couple AFC teams and then the Cardinals. Phil, you want to chime in? How are you feeling about the schedule overall?
I think it could have come out a lot worse. I actually like having the more challenging teams toward the end, give us a chance to ramp up and be who we're going to be. And all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. And we know Pete typically does pretty good with crazy. As tough as all the teams were that we were facing, I like how we spread around the Rams and Cardinal games a little bit. I think that's a nice salting throughout the schedule. It's kind of cool to start and end with those two. Not that we want to take them for granted because they are division rivals, but if we play right, we should beat them. My thinking, if we beat the Lions week 2, we got a shot of looking pretty good going toward that. What some people said 8-2, and I think 7-3 is acceptable, but hopefully 8-2, 7-3, 7-2-1. I'm even fine with. But that Lion game, I think that could go either direction. We win that, I think we'll be moving in a good point. We'll have some good momentum to have a shot at winning this division, even because the Niner games are still out in the front. I can't imagine they'd be doing a lot better than 8-2. How many games before that Thanksgiving game do you guys remember real quick? 6?
I think it was 10.
10 games.
11 games. Is it 11 games?
11 weeks, but 10 games with the bye.
Yeah, 11 weeks, 10 games. Yeah, leading into that Niner game, if we can be within a game of them, we're going to be pretty excited, I think. And then
if they'll be within a game of us, I think.
Yes,
that's right. That's exactly what I mean. So, I'm just saying, if it's either way and we're there, then that's going to be a fired up, awesome experience to be when we're right there fighting for the division on Thanksgiving with the old Jim Zorn to Largent Connection uniforms on.
Yeah, you get the right guys raising the 12th man flag, right? You bring back some classics for that. You know Sherman's going to be there. You got the 18-legged turkey. You got the whole thing, and we got the throwbacks.
Yeah, this has got to be the first Thanksgiving game in Seattle in team history, right? Obviously, because they just started the third game here relatively recently. I know they've played on Thanksgiving on the road. At least I think I seem to remember a Lions game in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Good call, yeah.
But first home game on Thanksgiving Day.
My favorite holiday. I want to go see my favorite team with some of my family. I'm already going to try to plan this out when we get off here.
Flaky, buttery biscuits, Mr. Phil.
With gravy.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Gravy, baby. Seahawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.